I'm Tim Roth, and this is my career in 4 minutes. I remember thinking that this is the best thing I could ever do in the world. I wanted to be a film actor. I didn't want to be a stage actor, and I wanted to be able to jump up and down and scream and have fun. And Alan Clark made that be all of that possible for me in one fell swoop. He made it all happen. He gave me a great character to play, something that I could really sort of revel in and have fun with. And he put me right in the middle of everything, and I loved that. Well, Vincent and Theo, when me and Paul Rees arrived, they had thrown a party for us. Robert Altman had thrown this little bash for the crew and for the actors, and we arrived in Holland, and me and Paul were like, oh, it's just a bit boring. And so I went over to Bob and said, have you got any money? He says, how much do you need? I said, well, we want to go into Amsterdam. We want to go and vanish. He says, all right. And he reached his pocket, brought a big roll of money, gave it to us. He said, see you in 3 days, come back with a character. And we went off, and we vanished and got to know each other and had a great wild time in Amsterdam and took that bonding that we had, me and Paul Rees had, and brought that to the film. That's how we got that guy. They sent me the script, and Reservoir Dogs, they sent me the script, and there was a little note on the front saying, with a couple of colours. One was blonde, I guess blonde's not a colour, blonde and pink. So I think they were suggesting I look at those characters specifically, and I very, very much taken with the character of Orange. I like that, the sort of duplicity and the layers of that. But no, when I read it, I think I was through the first 15 pages and I was reaching for the phone. So I've got to get on this. I love this. It's a great read. When you read Quentin scripts, even at that, on that level, at that stage, they're a great read. Actually, initially he was thinking about me for another role, but I introduced him to Amanda Plummer, and I said, I want to work on one of your films, but Amanda's got to have a gun in her hand. He went, I've got, and they wrote those characters up and bookended the movie with. So we made it as a little. It was the first week of filming, and we did it as a separate film with John and Travolta and Sam Jackson. I had a blast because, I mean, first of all, you're doing the Hulk. It's a big green monster movie, but you try and bring something else to it, but you get to run around in sort of helicopters and fire big guns and jump up. But it also makes you laugh because in reality you're standing in a field and you've got a guy standing in front of you with this neck brace on and this big. He's got a couple of big wooden sticks that go up right, really, really high, and he got 2 tennis balls on it, and that's your eye line. They figured out how high the monster is, and that's what you're actually talking to. So in the end, all of that nonsense comes down to something very, very silly, which I like. A mate of mine was producing it, and she produced The War Zone. And I wanted to know what she was working on. I was asked if she was working on these interesting films, and she sent me a script on the sort of sly just to have a look at it, and I thought it was beautiful, but it was cast. The character I was going to play, Archie, he was cast. Someone else was on board, and a good one, good actor too. So I was like, bugger. And then they were looking at me for a different, then they sort of mentioned another character, and I said, no, I want to play him. I said, if he ever falls apart, you never know, if he drops out, let me know. And then, sure enough, he did. Thank God he did.